Live.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. We're so glad that you're able to join us, whether it's live in our Facebook group, Waking Up Spiritually, or whether you're catching us on the podcast app or via YouTube or in the wakingupspiritually.com archives. However you're joining us, we're delighted to have you here. I'm Wendy Rose Williams, and I am a past life energy healer. What I do is help people release chronic physical and emotional pain, anxiety, depression, other types of energy that just does not serve you anymore. My website is wendyrosewilliams.com, and you're so welcome to request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment with me there and see how I may be of service to you. And I'll turn it over to Gregg Kirk, now my co-host, and he'll introduce today's topic, which is going to be a wonderful one.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you. I'm Gregg Kirk. I do energy healing. I do remote work. I do in-person work here in Connecticut where I live. And I run an online group healing circle every Sunday afternoon at noon Eastern time. And also fire circles in the general area in Connecticut. We've been doing those once a month. So if you are feeling a need to remove blocks or even entanglements or attachments from your energy being, please contact me at greggkirk.com. That's spelled Gregg.com, and click on the contact link or the request an appointment link. So today we are actually doing a retread of a topic that we did almost exactly 2 years ago. And Wendy and I were just talking about this. I'm going to pull up and share our PowerPoint presentation that Wendy and I put together. So, of course, those of you who are listening to this on the podcast app, you will not be able to see this, but we'll do our best to describe it. Okay, what's going on? Technical difficulties.
I can see it, Gregg. I'm seeing the PowerPoint, but it's got both views.
Yeah, it's not going into, it's not giving me the, oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Well, Gregg's working, there we go.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, if you're listening to this on the podcast, obviously you'll wonder what the heck we were doing. But those of you watching us on YouTube or even live on Facebook, you'll see this deck. So 2 years ago, Wendy and I did this topic, how to raise your vibration. And I think we really felt the need to do it again because things have changed quite a bit in the past 2 years. We've been through all kinds of world events, from, worldwide sicknesses to new wars to just changes in cultural behavior in that past 2 years. And Wendy and I both noticed that in our sessions with patients and clients, people have been saying things like, doesn't the world feel a little chaotic now? In fact, we did an episode on that a little while ago. And, what can I do to maintain my energy during these chaotic times? Well, this is really the point of view that we're coming out of today. It's the raising your vibration with in a modern way, based upon some of the world events that have happened in the past 2 years. So Wendy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And it's raising your vibration and keeping it there. I think that subtitle is very important.
Yes.
So what does it mean to raise one's vibration? What does vibration really mean? And you may hear it referred to as vibration or frequency. And I think of it simply as our state of consciousness. That simple is the best way I can describe what our vibration really is. And certainly raising our vibration involves us transmuting those lower vibrational energies. You can also think of them as our emotions. You can also think of it as mastering our emotions. We're human. It's absolutely human to go through fear, to go through anger, to be frustrated, to feel overwhelmed, to feel in pain. These are parts of the human experience. And I think we've just got to give ourselves a big hug and acknowledge those when they're coming up and just find those ways to balance up again the best we can, to ground and clear our energy, to balance our egos, and just find ways to expand our heart and tune back into that more loving aspect of ourselves. Because if we've got that ego, that little fearful left brain running the show, we're not going to be in a great place. So those are some of my opening thoughts on the topic. Any comments there, Gregg?
I agree. Our thoughts and our emotions are what drive our physical vibration. So they all kind of work together. They're all kind of the engine that causes our actual physical vibration to move up and down. And I like how you put that, mastering our emotions, because a lot of times people look at this as, if you've experienced something that's unpleasant, an emotion like fear, anger, like you were talking about, or jealousy or something, you look at that as something that needs to be stopped or avoided or killed or put down. That's not how you master something. Look at this as like a, if you encounter,
it's a learning moment. It's a tool.
Yes, that's actually the best possible way of looking at these things. When something like this comes at you, let's say it's a bear in the woods. If you were able to meet a bear in the woods and ask it, what it's there to teach you, instead of running or having it eat you or whatever, this is the way to master this type of situation. And then you're in, once you're in mastery of your emotions, they're not ruling you. You are ruling them. And yeah, your vibration goes up. Absolutely.
Yes, my guides are showing me a visual of us being like these little closed up oysters at times, because we're just trying to hold it all in and hold those emotions in. And
Right.
Oysters are pretty tough to shuck. And you've got to have that special tool, and you've got to have the special gloves. So it's us just being willing to feel those emotions. And it doesn't mean that they're going to wash us away or conquer us, but just being able to feel them and knowing some techniques to then efficiently let them go.
Right.
And then we're able to raise our vibration again.
Right. This is about being aware. Some people call this awaken. So we did an episode a long time ago about breaking cycles that don't serve you. One of the best things you can do right now is just to sit here and look around you right now. Look around you as you're listening to this, or as you're watching this. Look at the room that you've been in. You've been in this room, or maybe you're in your car or something. You've been in this place a lot. Have you ever just paid attention to what's in it? Have you looked around? And this is how you become mindful. Look at all the objects in this room. Think about them. Think about your place here. Just be for a while. There's so many people right now who are attached to their phones and their devices. They're not having real experiences. It's hard to awaken when you're in this different level of consciousness, this different level of experience where you're not even participating with the world. So start with that. Start with being aware. Look around you. Pay attention to how you're moving. Pay attention to how you walk to the door or whatever. Just little things like this. This is how, Buddhists call this becoming more mindful. This is how you do it. And also in your own life, start to look at the things that are happening right now. Some of them may be unpleasant. Are they really? Are they pushing you in a different direction? There's this metaphor of if you're looking at life as like a wave, so you're standing in the surf. A lot of people put up a fight to what's happening. Are you really going to be able to stand, especially a big wave, when it hits you? Wouldn't it be better to learn how to surf, or to body surf even, and then have that wave? It's an exhilarating experience. I love body surfing. Instead of trying to fight that wave, let that wave take you to another place. It's an exhilarating experience when it actually takes you, because you're not under your own power for a little while. And it's taking you to this place. It can feel a little scary also, which is a perfect metaphor. When you get taken out of your comfort zone and taken to another place, now this is an unfamiliar place. How did I get here? What am I doing? And then, once you kind of get up on your feet and realize, hey, that wasn't so bad. I didn't die. And I didn't get hurt, and now I'm in this new place, and that this is how you awaken. So look at the things in your life that you're fighting. Maybe it's time to let go of those things, and look at the things that don't make sense in your life anymore, and just look at become more accepting and relaxed about everything that's going on with you. Of course, we talk about this all the time. Focus on the things that make you feel good. This is your internal compass, okay? So you have an intuition and an internal compass. That's your emotions. And it's as simple as this. What makes you feel good? Go towards that. Simple as that. What doesn't make you feel good? Veer away from it. That's simple as that. So during all of this kind of stuff that's going on, this becoming more mindful and everything, start to pay attention to the things, your diet. And of course, this means not just food, but the diet that you consume with your eyes and your ears, the content that you look at on the TV set, on your devices and so forth. Are you eating a lot of junk mentally, physically, with your eyes and ears, watching a lot of crap on TikTok or whatever, Facebook, YouTube? How does it make you feel? Do you ever go through an experience like this? Happens to me every now and then. I'll have to jump on Facebook for a minute to make a post about something, to let people know of something. And then all of a sudden 20 minutes has gone by and I can't even remember what I was doing. That makes me feel a little out of control, the power that sometimes social media has, that it can be so overwhelming, so much information happening. You're not really having a real experience when that's going on. You're becoming kind of like a zombie spectator, in the scheme of life. So wouldn't you rather be a little more in control of your life and not have that happen? So I've become more mindful about those situations. So be careful of your mental diet as well as, of course, your physical diet, and try to stay, gravitate towards foods that have been actually touched by human hands. I mentioned this in the episode. I rewatched the episode, Wendy, and I remember I talked about this. There is a physical difference between food that has been prepared by human hands versus processed food that's been prepackaged and made by a machine.
Machine made. Mm-hmm.
Vibrationally completely different. Of course, the food touched by human hands is much better for you vibrationally. So pay attention to that. And here's another thing, once now you're on your mindfulness quest, how about helping others just randomly? There's that cliche, random acts of kindness. Why don't you do that every now and then? See how that feels. When you uplift someone else, it causes a chain reaction. It makes you feel good, and then they start spreading the positive virus around and making other people feel good. We call this the revolution of love. This is how it happens. So do that. So this isn't just about raising your own vibration and keeping it there. Wouldn't it be better if, as a humanity, we all raised each other up together? And and then every now and then you'll bump into somebody who's doing it to you, and unwittingly. This happened to me, a couple of weeks ago. I've been on this mindfulness quest of trying to engage everyone I meet out in public, and making eye contact and smiling, and if it's appropriate, say some nice, kind, or funny things to make them feel better, so that when they walk away from me, even if it's just a few seconds, they feel good. And somebody did it to me the other day. So I thought, wow, it's coming back around, this kind of ricochet of positive feelings. So pay attention to all these things, these cycles in your life. And the final thing, this is the thing that, of course, you knew we were going to say this. Have a meditative practice. Of course, we were going to say that. But let's talk about it in a different way. So if you're one of those people who says, I don't do it right, or I don't know how to do it, or I tried it and it didn't work, are you one of those people? Well, you can't do it wrong. Meditation, and you probably at some point somebody told you the proper way to meditate is to get all thoughts out of your head, which is next to impossible. And even, the only people who do that are the gurus and the yogis, who are sitting up on a mountaintop. They're the only people doing that. The other people in the meantime, us, what a meditative practice is a stillness practice. So you just try to reduce your thoughts to just, a manageable few.
Slow it down.
Yes. So when you slow your life down, everything you start to heal. you start to rate, your vibration automatically just goes up by you slowing everything down. So getting out of that lifestyle of work, 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 go, go, go. Look at my phone, look at this, look at that, look at this social media. You're having an experience that can cause your vibration to go down. If you just unplug from everything and just sit and be still and listen to a sound, focus on that. Or sometimes people have a focal point. Look at draw a little circle on your wall. Look at it, stare at it. Some people stare at candles. Just have a focal point and then close your eyes and imagine that candle or imagine that spot, or look at your cat or dog and then close your eyes and imagine their face and just think about that for as long as you can. This is going to slow down your thoughts and your thinking, and your vibration will go up. So Wendy, I'm sure you have some.
You just made me think of, there's an Eagles song, Learn to Be Still is part of the lyrics.
Yeah.
So, and Gregg, I really liked what you said about the food, the difference in the quality, also looking for food that's as fresh and local as possible.
Sure.
And just thinking, are there any ways that you can grow some of your own food? And if you're like me and you just don't have a suitable lot for it, or no, you won't do it, there's these indoor hydroponic, these cool little devices like the Aero Garden. And I just get the best salad greens out of that and the best fresh herbs. And I just started growing tea in one of them. Oh, wow. So there's definitely things we can do to, be city farmers too, is also okay.
That's so cool.
So, but yes, just appreciate everything you said, Gregg.
Thank you.
And the question continues to come up, what is 5D? What is the fifth spiritual dimension? What does that really mean? And what it means to me, this is just my personal belief and interpretation, and you'll just have to try it on and see what feels right for you. But what I think of as being the fifth spiritual dimension is the heaven on earth energies, meaning the highest vibrational energies, the ones that just make you feel the best. When you really feel peaceful, you feel you're at peace, that you can be peace, regardless of what's going on. That's a skill. That's an ability. That's a practice to just be as peaceful as you can regarding daily life, and also love, just being able to continue to open up your heart rather than to be shielding it and putting up barriers and putting up walls. Does it mean everything that's going to happen around you is loving, or everything you're going to do or say is loving? No, or we wouldn't still be here. Isn't life a grand experiment and experience in many ways? But just choosing those energies and trying to embody those energies as much as we can, as well as joy in just being like a little kid. I mean, when you think about how young children, how preschoolers play, they are so in the moment. That's why it's really hard to get them to stop what they're doing, and they can melt down when you tell them it's time for dinner or it's time for your bath or whatever it might be, because we as adults are on a much more arbitrary schedule. Whereas I think they've really got it right. They're just following the energy. They're just following that wave and drifting, body surfing on that wave, like Gregg described, and they're following the energy as long as it goes. And if that's to, keep playing Thomas the Train, or, play with their doll or whatever it is, there's some lovely, lovely joy in that. So those are my thoughts on what 5D really is. It's a big heart opening, which allows us to bring in more peace and more joy and those higher vibrational energies.
Yeah. So it reminds me of the Elvis Costello song, "What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding?" There's a period of time where these were kind of held as, hippie values, and they were being delegitimized all throughout several decades of ours. But, hopefully we're all coming back to them now. and realizing there's a reason the Beatles wrote the song, all you
Yes,
need is love and things like that. There's nothing more
absolutely.
powerful than these values.
The Beatles music is fantastic. It's really high vibration. And I'm also thinking of the Fifth Dimension. I mean, weren't they perfectly named? And here they
Right,
were a performing group back in the 60s.
right.
So again, it was that same energy just really, really coming through.
Yes. So let's talk about now. What's going on now in 2022. Do you feel, and that time is speeding up? Because it really seems to be, your days are zipping through now. The weeks are going by very quickly, and it feels like physically time is actually speeding up. Have you noticed that your own intuitive gifts are opening up now? I've had several patients of mine who they came to me with for energy healing, and they barely even believed in it, right? So, they were like, well, I read that this was a good thing for me, so I'm going to try it. And now they're starting, with their eyes closed, they're starting to see some of the things that I'm seeing during the sessions. Isn't that amazing? I mean, this is happening more than one person. This is happening about a half dozen people. So I don't know. I would expect it. If it's happening with me, it's probably happening with Wendy. It's probably happening with other people around the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's without the practitioner suggesting it.
Yes.
It's just the validation is coming up, because it's like we're sharing the screen of what we're able to see and hear and feel and sense and know.
Right. Exactly. No, I just did a session just an hour ago, and the woman was so receptive to everything, and describing things right at, like I would say, okay, we're moving to this part of your body. She said, oh my God, right before you said that, I felt this change in temperature, and, or I would say, okay, now I'm seeing all these colors, like rainbow colors. Oh my God, yes, I was seeing rainbow colors about, 30 seconds before you said that. So, these kinds of things are happening a lot. So, it doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean, you're losing your mind. It means your intuitive gifts, which you probably had very strongly, maybe a mastery level of them in another life, are rising up. The veil is thinning, as they say. So this is another thing you might, I'm starting to hear this more and more often too. Loved ones who have passed on. People are having these experiences with their loved ones where they feel like, oh my God, I feel the presence of my mother, when I'm alone now, or I feel the presence of my father, whenever I talk about him, especially when I'm alone, or I'm having these dreams and they don't seem like dreams. They're coming to me. They're having these conversations with me. And it seems real. Well, as I usually say to them, it is. It's not a dream. They did interact with you during your sleep time, which is a very common thing that they do. And enjoy this. This is not something to be pushed down or to be thought of as weird, or that's something wrong with you, or you're losing your mind. Absolutely not. It's the reason we started this group, this channel, this podcast series. This is a time to embrace these gifts that you've been given. We all have them, and to really hone them, to start exercising them like you would exercise a muscle. So embrace these things, embrace the changes that are happening. They are absolutely happening right now. The veil is thinning, your own gifts are rising to the surface, and time is speeding up. And also realize this about yourself, okay? There's that saying that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. It's not the other way around. But, our perspective as we come into this life and as we're born, of course, you feel human, right? And then you learn about spirituality. And, oh, I have a soul. Do I really? I don't know if I believe in that. And, well, okay, I believe in that. But how does the soul really work? And when you die, what happens then? And all these things are happening. Well, let's turn things around. You came into this life. Before you were in this life, you were this massive ball of energy. You have a light body. It is immense. And you are packed into this little meat suit that you're in now. And it can be uncomfortable. it is like 30 pounds of energy, light energy into this tiny little 2-pound meat package. And it's not comfortable. And now, with everything expanding and time speeding up and everything, you're starting to feel this, that wow, is there more to me than this body? Absolutely, there's more to you than this body. And you're going to shed this body at some point in your lifetime, but you're going to keep going. Your consciousness keeps going. You're going to return to this massive light body, and then you can kind of stretch out and feel like, whoo, wow, that was a wild ride. Now I can kind of relax and heal, and then I'll move on to the next one. So relax, accept, go with the flow. Everything's happening as it should. Everything's happening in your life, your experiences, they're lessons for you. If you can accept them, even though things that feel uncomfortable, but just go with it. Learn, what these things are teaching you, and then keep moving. And there's nothing to be afraid of. Fear is the only thing that's going to slow you down and cause trouble. Let that fear go. Look at this, not in a fearful way, like, oh my God, I got to protect myself. I might die. I shouldn't do this. All those decisions that you're making out of fear are the wrong ones. I hate to say it. And all the ones where you're opening up and you realize what a powerful being you are, your life just starts to unfold in front of you, and you start to feel better about things. So look at it in that way, and I guarantee you're going to feel better about your life, who you are, your place in the universe, and all of that. So.
Well said, Gregg. I think that common misperception of you're losing your mind is really about losing the mind control. It's about breaking free of having been overly conditioned to think a certain way, behave a certain way. So it's us really getting back in our right minds, versus, having been told, oh no, you can't connect with the divine, you can't connect with loved ones, you can't see clairvoyantly, you can't hear clairaudiently. That's crazy, people. That's crazy talk. Well, who gets to decide that? That's really up to our own hearts and our own intuition to think independently and know what's right for us. So I think there's just really sit down and think about that concept of being told or feeling that fear of you're losing your mind, and just kind of play with that on paper. Even that might be quite interesting, or meditate on it.
Yes.
So what are the steps to 5D? Many people raise their vibration and frequency beautifully without realizing consciously what they're doing. But other people more like to hear an example. And this is simply meant as an example. There are so many ways to the top of the mountain. I'm not here to tell you this is the one way, this is the be all and the end all. And if anyone is trying to tell you that, personally, I'd be a little concerned. I think some critical thinking needs to come in at that point. Because again, we are meant to, feel into our hearts and see what's right for us. But here's one path. It's the path that I personally went through, and it's not in straight lines like this, but I've described it that way simply for simplicity. I see it more as like the stages of grief, where we bounce around through the various ones, and it's the cha-cha. It's the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, yep. And we go back and forth. But to raise your vibration and frequency, you've got to fully align with your higher self, with your soul, and really get to be best friends, because you would think that our higher self, our soul, is always wonderfully fully seated and grounded and clear in our body. And we know that's not always true. So just inviting it in and letting your higher self, letting your soul enjoy the physicality and our primal beings. We are mammals, our animalistic piece of us getting to enjoy the wisdom of that soul. There is a very symbiotic relationship there. So getting more aligned and being able to balance up our past life energy. is huge because it can have such impacts on us that we just don't realize. So it's the cause of many fears and phobias. It's the causes of many emotions. It's the causes of a lot of disease and just dysfunction and not being well, because we're carrying so much of the past with us, and it's shoved down at that subconscious level. So getting that released is a big deal. Also, getting our masculine and feminine balanced up, because we've all got both energies. And when we're physically, the right side of our body is that masculine giving side, the left side of the body is the feminine receiving side. So we've all got both types of energy, but we've just got to be able to balance them up. And that can be easier said than done, particularly based on how you were raised and whether it was a healthy dynamic when you were young, when you were a preschooler, when you were in grade school, with mom and dad. And a lot of people do benefit from that inner child healing as a result of their upbringing. And transmuting any remaining karma. This is one of the biggest changes of what's going on with the energies now, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing myself personally, what I'm seeing with clients and seeing around me, is karma. It wasn't meant to be punishment. It was meant to be a reminder. It was meant to be unbalanced energy that kind of looped us back or hooked us back to a certain lesson, person, experience, location, whatever it might be, to finish up the lesson. So it's kind of like a pin got stuck in it, and you had to go back to that experience, that energy, to finish it up. But the dharmic path, that place where you've got the much more instant manifestation of the wonderful, wonderful things, back to that peace and love and joy energy again, and just that higher vibration where it's easy to help others are helping us more, and there's just more flow. Again, we can be Gregg out there body surfing, and we don't have the waves crashing over our head and shoving us under the water and pounding our face into the sand in a very frightening, scary way. We're not getting dragged along because we're just fighting it all. So we're just finding a way to lift up and transmute and move from that karmic path to that dharmic path. I had a client just last week, and she was really raising her vibration and frequency during the session. And I could see her guide reaching down like 3 or 4 feet to her and like holding out a hand and giving her a hand up, like onto this road that was just above her. It was like physically up a couple of feet. And I mean, that's hard to climb up like 3 or 4 feet. Picture that like on a sandy surface where, there's no steps, no railing. And it was interesting because I just was starting to describe to her, and she said, "Oh my gosh, my guide just put a hand down and helped like pull me up." I was like, "I just saw it." So it was, like you said, Gregg, it's really neat when we're starting to tune into those energies so well together. And being able to open our Kundalini life force energy fully. And Kundalini, it's something that a lot of people aren't aware of, or they may have heard the word and been like a little bit concerned about it or perturbed about it, because there had been some misperceptions and misinformation, particularly 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And there was some just frankly misinformation out in the press of, "Oh no, don't open that Kundalini energy. It'll give you psychosis." It's like, oh my goodness. We're talking about our own life force energy. Yes, it is often beneficial to work with a Kundalini instructor, like a specific Kundalini yoga instructor or Kundalini meditation leader, or a healer who is versatile with Kundalini. So if you feel like you might be having a lot of the experiences can feel kind of oddball. You can feel kind of out of control. Like there can be involuntary rocking or hissing or things that just feel kind of freaky. when that Kundalini really gets going and it rises up from the root chakra, the full Kundalini rising goes all the way up through the crown. So it's going through your whole body, and you're just opening and opening those chakras and opening those energy centers. The way that I opened mine inadvertently, I had no grand plan. I listened to Tom Kenyon's Magdalene manuscript. I had the CD, but it's available as an MP3 because who's got a CD player anymore? So you can just get the MP3 download and play it on any device. But that was the meditation that I chose, and it was really, really helpful. So that's just one example, just one sample. Again, you'll find what's right for you. And again, some people are just not very conscious of it, and that's fine too. But other people do know something is going on, and they might start to hear or sense or have someone tell them. A healer might mention to them, a practitioner, energy practitioner might say to them, "Ooh, your Kundalini is really active." And, they might be picking up on it. So ground your energy. Just keep grounding and clearing your energy. You can't be too grounded. You can't be too clear in your energy. Those are never bad things. And that just allows that Kundalini to open safe and sane, as does working with a practitioner who's got experience with that. I'm happy to help people with that, having gone through an interesting ride in that area. And once you've aligned with your higher self, gotten your energy balanced up, released that past life energy, balanced up your masculine and feminine, transmuted any remaining karma, starting to get on that dharmic path. Picture that guide just reaching down and giving you that friendly helping hand, that little pull on up, and opened your Kundalini. Then you get to the point where you can receive a sound activation from source. Mine were so surprising, so beautiful. They came out of the blue. I was not expecting them. I didn't know this concept of receiving a sound activation from source. And speaking of the Beatles, both my sound activations were Beatles songs. So, and it may be generational. It may be whatever you're going to relate to the most. But I was born in 1961, and that's what did it for me. Was these two separate. It was a couple months apart of the sound activation, and it was like the heavens had opened. I mean, the first time, I literally threw myself on the ground on my knees and was just prone and was just crying because I could just feel this amazing opening and just this healing. It was like healing from the inside out. And I was like, what is going on? I've never heard such a beautiful, beautiful rendition and song. And of course, there was no record player in the room. It was just I had stayed up all night. I had this big energy surge, and I had written all night long on a Friday night because I knew I didn't have to go to work in the morning. And I was just getting these downloads for writing one of my books. And I suddenly was like, oh, I really need to stretch. I really need to go to the bathroom. I wonder what time it is, because I'd lost all track of time because I was just so in the moment for like 6 or 7 hours. And I looked at the clock and said, oh my gosh, it's 5 a.m. And I'm not a night owl normally. And I turned around and looked out the window, and I could just see the dawn. I could see the sun rising and coming up. And then that sound activation from source came through. And then the second time that it happened, I was in the shower. So I stopped myself from throwing myself on the ground because it wasn't going to be safe to do so. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing experience if you do happen to have the good fortune of a very conscious moving up to 5D. And 5D is certainly not the be all and end all. The beauty of getting there is you then are able to go up to higher dimensions. It no longer is sequential, meaning you don't have to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got several clients have gotten very comfortable at 7D, which is the home to the angels. And I have one client who worked her way up very beautifully to 12D, so the home of the archangels and the ascended masters and Pan and the nature spirits and the most benevolent galactic beings. So the world is our oyster, and it's just kind of that beautiful spiral going on as we continue to do our work and just keep opening our hearts the best way we can.
Beautiful. So I would like to suggest, this is kind of going along with my previous slide of, what information do you seek out? What information do you consume with your eyes and ears and brain? And I've just come across a book that, a couple of books actually, that have had a big impact on me. And I just want to recommend them because there's a unique nature to them. So I'm sure Wendy's familiar with Dolores Cannon. And her daughter Julia has continued this QHHT, quantum hypnosis,
quantum healing hypnotherapy.
Healing hypnosis, technique. And Sarah Breskman-Cosme is somebody who has been doing that. She's a level 3 practitioner. She's been doing it for quite some time, and she's been getting the same information coming from different sources. So what she does is a hypnosis session with her patients who come in for healing, and sometimes they just come in, they don't know why. They're just interested in the session. And she's compiled these 2 books based upon the common information that's come through from this disparate sources, people who are not, somebody who's a truck driver, he's not into, cosmic things necessarily, or he's not into psychic things or channeled information, but this information pours into these people. And it's a fascinating story. Why do I bring it up now? It's because we're playing out a trauma cycle that has happened quite some time ago. I'm talking maybe 500,000 years ago. The time of Atlantis. This is not a mythology. The time of Lemuria, not a mythology. And we have one society that was male, patriarchy and male dominated, which was Atlantis. It was very technology driven. And then we had Lemuria, which was matriarchal, female driven. Completely different mindsets, right brain and left brain. And they clashed, and cataclysms happened, and a lot of people died, and there was very horrible situations that are playing out today. So without giving too much of a spoiler, the reason I bring this up is because literally the information, some of it is actually a replay of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The beings said that. So the content of these 2 books is the same content of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And they are claiming that there's, much like some books that Wendy and I have talked about, like, Tom Kenyon's Magdalene manuscript, and Anna, grandmother of Jesus, and Anna, voice of the Magdalens. There's light codes in between the words. So when you read books like this, you can have a physical reaction. You can have an energetic reaction. They're meant to heal you. So the beings who gave the information in the book actually said, now is the time for this information to come out. We tried to bring it out earlier. It didn't work. Now is the time, and there's healing in these words. Some people will have a spontaneous healing event by reading these books. So how about that?
It's amazing. And I can tell when I'm reading something really high vibrational like that, because I'm sitting on my living room couch, and the couch floats. It's in the middle of the room. It's not against a wall. Right. And my dog will often sit. She's lying relaxed next to me. But what happens, Gregg, is beings of light start coming in, and they're like looking over my shoulder, and they're like around me as I'm reading it, helping that process. And the dog gets up, and all of a sudden, she's looking all behind me because she's seeing and sensing them, and she'll start barking. And that's how I can tell that what you're describing is going on, because the dog is so reacting to it.
Yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to, that's fantastic. Yes, and same thing with my dog, and he also, not just from reading, but he likes to come to sessions, and I'm doing.
Absolutely.
But so let me just, so there's two books. I haven't even mentioned the names of them. So those on the podcast are probably wondering, what the heck is Gregg talking about? The author is Sarah Breskman Cosme. The first book is called A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis. And I recommend reading that one first. That one is about the Atlantis Lemurian struggle. It also gives vivid detail about our off-world roots. What do I mean by that? Well, thousands and thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the earth was formed. And yes, there were Neanderthal people here. People came from other worlds in craft and mated with them and created a hybrid, created us. So that's why you're never going to find this so-called missing link. You're never going to find that. That was a term that came up in in the 60s and 70s. Like, why can't we find a link between Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, and modern day humans? There's got to be a bridge, some sort of DNA bridge between them. It's never going to happen because these people came from off-world, mated, and created basically us. So I don't know where you are in your personal belief system about that, but this is something that we should all begin to understand. It explains a lot of things. And this happened, very, very long time ago, but this is one of the major story points in the book that it's time for us to realize. And the other thing is a majority of us are coming back because of this trauma cycle that I mentioned about Atlantis and Lemuria. And it's time for us to do it right. We're going to do it right this time. So we're not going to end in a war and a cataclysm. We're going to end in, being brothers and sisters and rising from this. So that's the other amazing thing about it. So as much as you want to engage in the chaos that's happening now, there's a lot of karma letting off happening now. That's what's going on. But it's so funny that the beings who are coming through and giving the information, they basically, I'm being glib about this, but they say, here, we'll spoil the ending for you. The light wins. There's a happy ending. Everything's going to be great. So if you know that, maybe you don't need to worry about anything. Maybe
it helps us get through the messy middle. It really does.
Yeah, exactly. So, now's the time to resolve these cycles, and it explains a lot about what's happening now with our uncomfortable energy happening now. But exactly like what you said, this is the messy middle we're going through. But hey, this is some stuff we got to put up with, and it's going to be fine. So I recommend you check these out. The second one is about information from the Sphinx. The Sphinx was not created by humans. There's another spoiler. It was the inside of the Sphinx is actually a meteor that hit the Earth, a massive meteor, and it didn't create a crater. And it's got all kinds of bizarre crystals in it and everything. Light beings created this Sphinx, and it has a consciousness of its own. It is the recorder of all information that happens on the Earth, and it's a communication device. And if you want to try to tune into it, you can have a conversation with it. So how's your belief system doing now? And by the way, it used to have the face of a cat. And then when the patriarchal society started taking over, they changed it into the face of a pharaoh. That's interesting. So this is great information. This is mind-blowing stuff, and stuff that, it's one of those things where I use my own discernment. So when I read out, seemingly outrageous stuff like that, and when it hits me in the heart and I know it's true, or I feel it's true, I feel good about it. As opposed to, if I've read something that quote unquote outrageous and it bounced off of me, which plenty of things in the news cycle do, yeah, then I don't feel good about it. So use your own intuition on this. If you read this and you don't feel good about it, then okay, that's fine. But I think a lot of people who are watching today and who are listening today would benefit from dipping your toe in and investigating these books. I didn't plan on endorsing something like this, and that's not where I'm coming from on this. I'm endorsing the information in it. It's timely, and this is an episode on raising your vibration. This will it has the potential to help you do that. So
wonderful.
Okay.
So what's different at 5D and the higher dimensions? That question comes up. So what's going on in detail? So we have 7 major chakras in our body, from the root chakra at the base of the tailbone spine up to the crown chakra at the top of our head. So there's 7 chakras there, but there's also 7 additional chakras that come in, is my belief, chakras 8 through 14, that connect us more closely up to the divine. So removing that veil of amnesia, really understanding more who we are as spiritual beings, as souls, as energetic beings, as well as who we are as people in this, particular incarnation that we've chosen. So those chakras come in once you've raised your vibration to 5D. There is tremendous heart healing, because don't most of us need that? I mean, that is just a really, really big deal, to be able to let go of those old wounds and let go of that shielding or walls that we may have needed to put up or chosen to put up at certain points, because it was the best thing we could do, because we needed to defend ourselves or take care of ourselves or whatever it might have been. But to be able to know that you're going to be absolutely okay, you're going to be great regardless of what goes on, that's got a tremendous freedom to it. And then we realize that we can just live within our heart, because we've got our discernment. So Gregg's point about trying it on and seeing if it's true for you, if it's right for you, that discernment is just so important. Once we've moved up to 5D, there's an ascended master or other amazing being of light for daily assistance. And that blew my mind when it first started happening for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really had to kind of work through some feelings of unworthiness about it, because it kind of felt like too big, and like, who am I to merit this sort of assistance? And when I meditated on it and asked about it, my guides just simply said, do your work. It's time to live your purpose. You've got your life purpose, and just embrace and say thank you for the resources, because you did earn them, you do merit them. And the more you embrace them and work together, the more people and more situations you can help as a result. And otherwise, you're not really living your purpose if you're just being the shrinking violet and going, oh, who am I to deserve this? Right. That's my bad impression of Scarlett O'Hara, and that's not her energy at all. She's more like, rip these curtains down and I'm going to make myself look great to take care of business. So, but just enjoying that, and just really being grateful for it and working with it. And we also can really fine tune our life path and our purpose once we've moved up to 5D and higher. And some resources, some of my favorite books in that area are Raise Your Vibration by Sabrina Reber. And you can find that on Amazon or anywhere else you like to purchase your books. The Archangel's Guide to Ascension by Diana Cooper. Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration by Penny Pierce. And 2 books by Maureen St. Germain, Waking Up in 5D and Mastering Your 5D Self. So there we go, straight to the point of what's going on with 5D. And I loved Maureen's first book, Waking Up in 5D, because she's the first person. I met her in person when we were both at the same conference, and we were both giving a talk at the same conference at the wonderful Wisdom Soup Spirit Summit. And she's the first person, and I bought her book on the spot because she's the first person that was able to explain to me some of these crazy things that were happening as I was moving up to 5D, like why I was suddenly losing my keys and my phone and my glasses and just all these different things. And she was able to explain it really well in the book, and talked about, well, if you're doing a lot of meditation and purposefully working to raise your vibration, and you've got these things, these, physical items around you, you've raised your vibration, and sometimes some of those things have gone with you. And then I would, come back down. I'm like, oh, like the buzzer would go off, my meditation's over or whatever. And I'd kind of like crash back down. And then it was like, where's my stuff? I don't understand. And I would look and look and look for it, and it wouldn't be there. And I knew where I'd left it. I knew it was like on the bed next to me, or it was on the nightstand next to me. And I was like, well, I can't find it right now. I just have to let it go. And I'd, go do something else. And then I'd come back in the room, and it would be right where I left it. And she's the first person that explained to me of what's going on with, raising the vibrations. And it also explained some of Midnight, my cat of 20 years, my great buddy and spiritual partner, his reaction when I was raising my vibration like that. And he got very uncomfortable and wouldn't meditate with me for a time period because he was just getting thrown off by those changes in vibration. So it is real. My point is, it's real. It's physical. It's not just a theoretic. It's not just an esoteric type of exercise. There's some physical things, that can go on. And just keep your sense of humor. Just be patient. Just let it go. And just, it's like if you've ever been driving somewhere that should be easy to find and you just can't get there. I had that experience last week, and I was getting super frustrated because it was 45 minutes trying to get to a place that I knew how to get to, and I just couldn't get there. And I finally just said to my guides, if you'd like me to go home, I'm fine with that. If you'd like to guide me there a different way, I'm fine with that. If you want me driving around in circles, obviously I need to be fine with that too, because that's what we've been doing for 45 minutes. And I cannot find the entrance to this park. So the minute I surrendered it and just let go of it, I suddenly saw the big entry sign and came up on it from a way I'd never driven before. So that surrendering as we're going through raising our vibration and just having humility and sense of humor, I think helps a lot.
Definitely. Wow. So
please join us on October 10th for the next Waking Up Spiritually podcast. You can join us live in our Facebook group at Waking Up Spiritually, or you can go to our website and you can catch the archives there. There's now over 50 episodes there, thanks to Gregg's wonderful work and diligence in getting those all archived. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if that's how you like to get your information. Please rate and review us on Apple iTunes or whichever app you use for your podcast, because that helps people find us. And you will find us on Apple iTunes under the name Waking Up Spirituality. Waking Up Spiritually. You can visit Gregg Kirk, GreggKirk, at his website, which is his name, greggkirk.com. Check out his book there, his various programs, healings with him, which are wonderful. I've had multiple healing sessions with Gregg, and they're always amazing and uplifting and a lot of fun because he tends to get the visuals and I tend to get the auditory. So we're kind of like the two halves of the TV coming together.
Right.
A lot of times in the sessions, although you hear also and I see also, but just it's just kind of fun how that comes together. And like you mentioned, that's happening more and more with your clients, and I'm noticing it too. So there's never been a better time than to do sessions with practitioners such as ourselves. So please visit me at my website, which is my full name, wendyrosewilliams.com. And you can request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment with me there, and happy to see how I might be of service to you. So thank you.
We'll see you all in October. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.